want to welcome everyone. I'm Lyn Houk, and I'm your co-host with my other host, co-host Lyn Askin. Hey, we're here with the Marketing Center of Excellence, and this is our inaugural Masterclass. We're going to be doing this monthly, and we decided to kick this off here this year instead of waiting until next year. I'm really excited. I want to, first of all, thank Lyn for co-hosting with me on these monthly webinars. Great to have you, Lyn.
Thanks. It's great to be here. I'm excited to be here and share some knowledge and learn something at the same time. I'm excited to kind of meet some new people and help.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also really excited to have Andrew Ansley here as a special guest. Andrew, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks. Good to be here, man.
So, Andrew, some people may not know you. Why don't you give us a little background, just really quickly on where you're from, how our paths crossed and how we met.
Yeah, sure. So from Nashville, moved here to Colorado this year in May. So I was a lifer in Nashville too, and started in the marketing space with Raven Tools, that the SaaS company. They used to kind of be neck and neck with Moz, and then they kind of blew up. But after that, went into the local, started an agency, got into all of the hyper competitive spaces I could find. Really loved the drug rehab space when I was in it. And I found Lyn through his press release tool. And once I used that, I think you gave a presentation on that. I don't know which group I was in, but you gave some sort of presentation, and I got like the lifetime for it. And that's kind of how I got to know Lyn. And I used it for all sorts of ranking shenanigans. I had this ranking in 30 days challenge, and I created a fake moving business and started ranking largely just with like cloud stacks and your press releases and tiered link building through like spam. I don't know if it would still work now, but I was loving it. It was so nice. But that's my thing. And now today I do, I'm enterprise in-house marketer, director of content and communications for a finance company, and anything from email marketing to blogs, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. I do all that, social media. And it's fun. I love it a lot.
Yeah, awesome. So for all of you who are guests here today, I wanted to have Andrew on because he really brings a unique perspective, having just shared, some of his past experiences. He's been in the agency space. He's done just like kind of SEO, and he's a real analytic and smart guy. But, not just being an agency, but now also being on the enterprise side. You really get some unique perspectives there. And I thought he would just really bring a great perspective to all of us on today's topic, which is all about content. Lyn, really great to have you here. Why don't you just give everyone a quick introduction about yourself as well?
Sure. Thanks, Lyn. My name is Lyn. I live in Lafayette, Louisiana. I was born in Las Vegas and grew up in Las Vegas and spent some time there. I built my first website in 1996. We built one of the first online auctions. And I think that was the year eBay hired their first employee also. We built a company called the Ultimate Auction. Ultimately lost that battle to the behemoth that eBay became. We built an e-commerce store in 1997 that still runs today. And, like most people in sort of agency space, I think, you get started in a business, you hire a bookkeeper, your bookkeeper says, hey, I've got some other clients that need a website, and you just start helping people. And at some point, you realize that everybody on your street and in your town and in your city and in your state need a guy or a girl like you on their side to help them kind of navigate through, with this sometimes, sketchy industry. And so I've been doing internet marketing since, we started selling things online in 95, 96, 97, been doing it ever since. I own a company called Rackstar Digital Marketing, where it's our sort of legacy agency, and we have a lot of clients there. We do some white label work through there, but that's not a focus of ours, and it's not something that we're trying to advertise or anything like that. And we were in the process of building out a niche agency in the garage door space. So I have 25, 26 years of internet marketing knowledge, and I'm here to help.
Awesome. Yeah, really good to have you here. Super excited to be on this journey with Lyn. He's just incredibly smart. and great person, great family man, great dad, great husband, and just an all around great person, as well as Andrew. All of you who are here, really just honored to have all of you here on our inaugural episode and class, and we'll dive right into it here. I'm really excited to talk about today's topic, which is content. Content for me is a double-edged sword. Running a white label agency, we produce a lot of content every month, and it's probably the biggest component of our fulfillment in terms of just the in and out every month, and the output of that content, having to put it through the writing, the QCing, and then the optimizations, and then the publication, distribution, and all of that process. So content really lies at the center of a lot that I do in my day-to-day work, and it goes back to the genesis of our software. We've always tried to put a focus on great quality content because it's the one common denominator for me that I know Google always wants. You can do things to game the system. You can do things and rank lorem ipsum dolor text, right? You can do things like that, but when you're in the agency business, that isn't really even a topic for conversation. You have to produce good content for the brands, the companies, the clients that you're serving. And so I've been in the agency space my entire time in marketing, if you will. I started my initial agency back in 2010, and websites and SEO was the number one kind of thing that we sold every single month. And SEO was our main MRR driver. It drove our monthly revenue. And it also got the best results for our clients, both short-term and long-term, really. So to do SEO, to represent brands, help them with marketing content and quality content at that has always been kind of at the forefront of my focus and really the needs of serving our clients. So real quick, I'm going to go through what we're going to talk about today at a high level, and then we'll dive into details. As we go through, if you have questions, please put them in the chat so that we can have those as part of the record, number one, and then we also can make sure we address them all. We'll probably try to answer most questions at the end when we get done so we can get through the content. But Andrew and Lyn, as we're going through these slides, they're each going to add their own color commentary and insights as we go through it, and then we'll address questions at the end. And then we'll have an extra session, probably the last 30 minutes or so, where we're going to do a live demo of some tools that Andrew and I have been using. And it's actually one tool. I'll share another tool or two that I've been using in the overall content process. But we'll do that at the end in a live demo. We'll record that. But that way, for people who want to at least get the content and consume that, you can get in, consume the content, hear it, and then leave if you got to go out for your next appointment. All right. So we're gonna recap the content update. We're gonna talk about EAT. We're gonna talk about implementing authorship in your strategy. And then, like I said, we'll do that live demo on developing killer content using onpage.ai or on-page.ai. It's a fairly new tool that I have been using for about 3 or 4 months. I know Andrew's been using it, and you're gonna, I think, probably be blown away at how great this tool is to help you create killer content. All right, so really quick, the algorithm update. It was termed the helpful content update. It rolled out in late August, early September. And it was really an update that will use a quote unquote helpfulness metric to rank content. The update's going to be rolled out gradually. And what I mean by that, and really I think what Google meant by that, is it's just going to keep rolling out, and they'll keep tweaking this major core update as things go to just keep tweaking their results. From everything that I saw when it first rolled out, and actually because of being in the software and being on the back-end API side of things, we saw Google testing this algorithm update well before August. It was going on all summer. But once it kind of got rolled out, it seems like it rolled out not to the all business categories at first. It seems like it rolled out to a few industries. And I would say that at the gradual rollout, it's going to gradually roll out to all industries, all categories of search as they tweak it and get the best results. Essentially, at the core of this, it was designed to improve the quality of search results. And Google said that the new update is not about pushing down low quality content, but rather about promoting, enhancing, amplifying helpful content. So the big question is, well, how is Google, how is the algorithm actually determining what helpful content is? And so really both through kind of watching the rollout and then listening to both the experts and listening to what Google directly has been saying, and then watching it for a couple of months, what I have come to the determination is that helpful content is content that's written for people's first and is going to demonstrate EAT. So we can use EAT as a really good indicator or a really good framework, if you will, for developing and publishing helpful content. Anything there, guys? Andrew, Lyn?
Yeah, I think, helpful content to me, a lot of that is around, what answers the searcher's questions, what result best answers the question is the most helpful to them. And I think that's sort of a good framework to start with.
Andrew, anything? Good.
Yeah, I would add that just some real, if you're applying it to an industry, I think this helpful content update, this as it rolls out fully across, the whole entire world, across all niches, I would expect sites like, what are those recipe sites, where you have to read about grandma and stuff? I expect all those major sites, I don't think we're more than 2 years away where that goes away. They're going to deliver the recipe up top and then get to the fluff. If you're not doing that, that's what helpful content is. It's getting the reader the value they want, the information they want as quickly as possible. No more dragging them around, trying to get them to, hang out in your page longer. And I think that a good barometer of that will be those recipe sites. Because if they change, everyone's should be changing.
Yeah, agreed for sure. All right. So this is how I do it. Like, and nothing in here is the law. This is just, how we as industry experts and as people who are experimenting and learning as the goalposts keep changing, how we're doing it. And based on how we approach content, we write our content for three audiences. One, our target audience, right? This is the people first approach. So you have to have your target audience dialed in. The personas, the gravatars, whatever you want to call them, you have to know who you're writing for, especially if you want to draw the right traffic, right? Because you can get traffic to your site, but if it's not qualified traffic, if it's not target audience traffic, then it's largely going to be useless and you're wasting a lot of time. Number two, I tell our writers, we need to write our content as if a manual quality rater at Google is going to come read that piece of content. Number three, we write the content for the bot. And we write it in that order. Okay, basically in terms of priority, right? And I think if you follow that priority, you'll produce phenomenal killer content, especially if you look at the tools that we use and how to do it. So, when we are browsing the web or we're searching a term, whatever it might be, we have a need, whether it's you personally or you in the mind's eye of your clients. We all know great content when we see it, right? I mean, when you hit a page and you're like, all you have to do is read a few sentences, do a quick scan up and down, browse. And I think intuitively as humans, we all know great content when we see it, and we can very quickly point out crappy content when we hit it too, right? Anything there? Give me a 1 in chat if you agree with me there. Like, we all know great content when we just see it. It doesn't take long for us as humans to quickly evaluate content, right?
Yep. Okay. 1. Tons of ones.
So think of the billions and billions of dollars that Google has invested over the last 20 some years in the sophistication and the machine learning and the AI and the patents that they've purchased and the perfection that happens as you do something, like this, like what they do. So if we all intuitively can just very quickly determine this is good content, this is crappy content, how much more should we think that the bot, which is, highly sophisticated, can do it very quickly too, right? And you're going to learn a lot more about that today. So how do we demonstrate EAT? Expertise, authority, and trust. So if you don't know what EAT stands for, that's what EAT stands for. It's just an acronym. It stands for expertise, authority or authoritativeness, as Google calls it, and trust or trustworthiness. I do have some links in here. The expertise goes out to, by the way, I'm going to share with you a way for all of you who are attending today to get the slide deck. The slide deck is rich with resources and links to other resources to help really make this hopefully great content for all of you. So if you want the slide deck at the end, I'll share with you guys a way to get that. But how do we demonstrate expertise? How do we demonstrate authority? How do we demonstrate trust? And this is a direct quote from one of the sites here that is referenced here on how search works. But Google says, for example, one of several factors we use to help determine this, that is EAT, is understanding if other prominent websites link or refer to the content. This has often proven to be a good sign that the information is well trusted. So when you want to demonstrate EAT, we have to understand there's three elements here. It's not just one. Okay, if EAT isn't one element, EAT is three elements broken down: expertise, authority, and trust. Now, Google's John Mueller, who I like and dislike, but it's kind of two sides of the same coin with him. But he recently said it's hard to call a site authoritative after 30 articles. So I want you to apply this to your agency space and your clients, or if you're ranking your own assets. I want you to apply it to your website. How deep is your website in terms of pages and posts? How many articles do you have around a topic, which we would call the corpus of content that you have as an entity around a topic of content? And realize that 30 pages is deemed to be a very light, non-authoritative type of site. So understand the investment of content that you're going to have to start to make in order to demonstrate EAT. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted Andrew to come on, because he's really invested in the content of the enterprise he's working with, and he's seen some amazing results just simply by investing and doubling down on content and content velocity and volume. Right, Andrew?
Yeah, it's insane. I thought I would get some success, but content, just going all in on content and making links a secondary priority, still a priority, just not first anymore. That's the mindset of the SEO, in my opinion.
And so again, if this would be easier for us if we want to hit the mark with our target audience, but at the same time, we know we've got to have that article be great for ranking purposes, because if it's not on page one, no one's going to see it anyway. So we have to rank it. So we have to write for all three audiences. But then once we have EAT dialed in, and we can learn how to demonstrate EAT within the content, then it's just volume while hitting the mark with your EAT. Okay. So demonstrating expertise is going to vary depending on the site's main category, and especially YMYL entities are going to be scrutinized. If you don't know what YMYL stands for, it stands for your money, your life. There, you can look it up. We don't have time to go into all of these, like kind of mini rabbit holes, if you will, today. But YMYL, any kind of business that affects a person's money or their life. So healthcare, finances, real estate, the home, any kind of contractor that goes to the home. All of those types of industries, business categories, if you will, are going to be scrutinized in a much heavier way on all areas of the spectrum within Google's ecosystem. We have to understand as marketers that there are multiple ranking systems that are measuring EAT signals in content and pages. There's not an EAT score per se at all. There's not like one EAT score. It is a multitude of data points or signals and a multitude of systems that Google is using to measure EAT signals in content and pages when the bot crawls. So again, getting the bot to crawl is also a big component of ensuring that your content is actually having any use, right? So you got to pay attention to that. EAT helps determine the credibility, all right? And there's a link in that's linked here to a Google patent that's all around just helping to determine the credibility of an author. And then you can build web credibility in several distinct ways. This is a link to a Stanford study on how to build website credibility. And this is really, really informative right there. I don't have time to go into it, but overall, you can understand that Google's systems, multiple ranking systems, are working when the bot is crawling the web and the pages, and all these different data points and systems are getting fed the data from the bot, and then they're making all these different scoring judgments, if you will, about the author, the content, the credibility, the trust of that content, and then the author, which we're going to get into here in a second. This is a really great article here on 14 ways that Google may evaluate EAT. I was blown away at this article because this goes into great detail about different ways that we know and can show that the algorithm is looking to identify EAT and score EAT signals around a piece of content. So this is really informative there. Danny Sullivan over here on the right, is EAT a ranking factor? He says we use a variety of signals as a proxy to tell if content seems to match EAT as humans would assess it. In that regard, yes, it's a ranking factor. So really important to understand how, and I just put out a post the other day, H.J. Kim from Google, who's their head of search, revealed in an interview that that EAT is a part of every single search query at Google. Okay, so understand that.
Say that again, Lane.
Yeah,
every single
search query has EAT implemented into it. Okay, and this is why, guys, there's multiple ranking systems within Google's algorithm that are assessing EAT signals in the content or pages that the bot is crawling. And this article right here, 14 ways that Google may evaluate EAT, will really dive into the details of different ways that the systems, the ranking systems, and the bot are working to evaluate EAT in content or pages that it's crawling. It's very sophisticated. It's amazing. And understand that Google knows everything about an author if that author exists and has set it up properly. And content that does not get tied to an author is really going to fall on deaf ears. From a bot standpoint, from an algorithm standpoint, I believe that we're going to go into a greater stage of authorship, and Google is trying to now really, there's so much noise out there, right? I mean, we all can see that there's billions of web pages on any given topic. There's a lot of noise out there. So, we've even seen the algorithm and the index already reflect this, that you'll see the omitted results, right? You'll go through some search results and you may only get 2 or 3 or 10 or maybe at most 15 pages. A lot of times it'll just say the rest of the results are omitted. Like if you really want to see them, okay, click here. But because there's so much noise out there, Google's invested billions into it, giving the bot and the algorithm the ability to read the content and make judgments about the content and the creator of the content. And that's where it's going now, is not just the content itself, but who's the creator of the content, and can we verify anything about that person, if there's even a person tied to the content, which in many cases, I would challenge all of you to go look at your blog content that you've published for you or your clients in the last 6 months and answer the question for yourselves: is there a human being tied to this piece of content in any way, shape, or form that's been published on the blog or as a press release or anywhere else? Okay. Why is this important? You cannot fire authorship schema signals without a people type. I'm going to pause there on purpose because I want to emphasize this. Okay. If Google won't allow for a schema signal to fire without a people type involved with authorship, think of what that means. Like Google they bought schema.org, right? So think of this. And what this means, like you can't have a piece of content and have it tied to a company and have authorship fire properly. Okay, so within schema, Google's got a hidden signal there saying if you want to have authorship, it's got to have a human being tied to it. Okay, really important. So when it comes to getting an authorship profile, there are several ways to purposely set up an authorship profile. You can have an Amazon profile. You can have a Linktree profile, which kind of ties a bunch of this together. You can have an About Me profile. You can have your blog author profile on your WordPress blog. You can have a WordPress.com profile, and a Gravatar.com. WordPress.com and Gravatar are going to be the key place to start with your authorship profile. And then from there, build it out and then tie it all together with an About Me or a link tree. There's a bunch of platforms as you build out an authorship profile or a profile around a human being who is going to be the author of the content. So if you're doing this as an agency for a client, you have to identify an individual at the company that is going to be the author of the content, right? In an ideal world, if the company says, no, I don't want that, then for me, in our purposes, now we're going to create an authorship profile of somebody at your company. If you're not going to let us use a person, we're going to create a person and then make them the author, just because it's that important to tie all of the content that we're producing for them from an SEO standpoint to a human being and an authorship profile that has a footprint. You got to have a footprint. The greater the footprint, the more Google can find you as an author, and the more that happens, the better. Anything on this slide, guys, you want to add?
We do have a question that's, can a corporation not be an entity and have authorship be the corporate brand? So
that's a fallback, but understand this first point here. Okay. That is a fallback position. The company can be the author. You can build the entity authority, but understand that Google does not want to tie content to a company. It wants to tie content to an actual human being who wrote the content.
Yeah, if you've ever seen the SERP feature articles, where in the actual SERP, it'll say articles, and then it lists out a bunch. Those new features, that should tell you the direction of Google and what they want. And you're not going to fire that as a corporation. I've never seen a corporation. There's always an author, like a person author. And I only have a first person experiences with this. I have never done a single variable test to measure the impact of this. But from what I can see, changing, I work in a lot of spaces that are your money or your life. And because we get sued a lot, and it's the author is afraid of being an author because they don't want to be in a deposition. So we removed that author and then we switched it to the corporation, and we saw a decline fairly quickly. Not a massive one, but there was one. And then I tried to fix it by, basically lying about using schema. But some of the stuff that Lane's brought up as well, they say that now lying against, or if you say something in the schema, it better be present on the page. Otherwise, that's actually a penalty. Mm-hmm. So I would have, a year ago, I would have recommended just lie about it. Just like put something in the schema, an author, no one can actually see it for these depositions. It needs to be a person. It just needs to. That's the direction we're moving.
100%. And Andrew, I put LinkedIn here, number one, for a reason, but I know you want to just talk a little bit about your experience with LinkedIn and publishing content and what it's done there.
Oh, yeah. Well, LinkedIn for me, I just think it's the most professional platform. It's built around not sharing kitty pictures or dog pictures, family pictures. It's literally just built around business. So as such, it seems to me to be the best platform. If you're going to have authorship, tie it to that LinkedIn. Twitter also counts, at least it was. And Google has a special relationship with Twitter as well. I don't know about their relationship with Facebook, but I know for a fact, Google has a relationship with LinkedIn and Twitter, just because they literally will surface their posts. It's the whole reason like Twitter moments are a thing where you can rank with those. But yeah, LinkedIn also, for those that don't know, like this is a not spammy version. LinkedIn has insane reach compared to Facebook. I've been investing in Facebook for 5 years, and I'm a moderator for SEO Signals Lab. And past month I got 6,000 impressions, 6,500 maybe. I just started LinkedIn, 100,000 impressions for free.
Wow!
So it's just, and I've grown my following by 50% in a month as well. And in the same period, I grew my following by 10 people on Facebook. So it was, I just think LinkedIn is the spot. If you're not investing in it, get on that train. It's especially with the crumbling of Twitter, or people don't want to be on Twitter anymore.
Now, what Andrew just said really can't be underestimated, because as an author with content, and what Google's looking for with EAT signals is they're looking for a big part of that is engagement, right? So when people are following you as an author, when people are interacting with your content, those signals are incredibly powerful. It demonstrates, it shows the algorithm authority in the space, okay? And so I think as SEOs, so often we're just trained, just get the content and publish it, get the content and publish it. And it's like an afterthought about engagement and traffic and the other signals that Google looks to really validate, is this content helpful for our user community? And so engagement and following around an authorship, a profile or an author profile, and the content that profile publishes on a regular monthly basis is as important, if not more important, than the content itself. Okay, so what I'm saying here, guys, is you know the old quote from Wayne Gretzky: "You got to skate to where the puck's going to be, not to where it is." Okay, Andrew's already alluded to it. I'm alluding to it. The puck is going to be over here, and SEOs are still thinking about backlinking and other stuff. And I'm telling you, this is going to shift, and it already has. And if you don't shift your SEO strategy to accommodate, you're going to continue to see a worse outcomes, less ranking results as a result of it. I can guarantee you that the puck is moving here. And if you don't move with it, it's going to be tough in the years to come with SEO. So focus on what we're talking about here, and focus your efforts not so much on all these other things that are about gaming, and focus on good quality content, and then building some followers and engagement around that content, and you'll have a lot of signals that will come from that. I also real quick, Carol had a question about blog content. You can see here I'm listed as the author right here at the very top, right? And this is a setting in WordPress that can be turned on or turned off. Most people just have it turned off. They don't even know it. If you click on my name here, it takes you to my author profile on the blog, and then everything I've authored is here. Okay, on my author profile as well. And you can drive links to this author profile, like tell Google, hey, this is where, I want you to understand who I am as an author. Like, let's be purposeful about letting Googlebot discover and training the algorithm on who our author is and the content that author is publishing out. Okay.
There's another question from Lyn. Is sharing a post sufficient for LinkedIn? No. Just to respond, you need to be writing your own content. Treat it like a brand. You yourself, let's say you're doing it, or your client, they are a brand. Treat them like a brand.
Right here.
Be very intentional. Don't share links. You're a unique brand. Just it will pay dividends. This isn't just for SEO, guys. This is literally like you can get tons of business by investing in authorship.
So, great segue. Thanks, Andrew. Teed that one up. So yes, if you're going to set up, so I'm going to get into some practicals, all right, some actionable steps. What can you do to set up authorship properly? All right. So first off, you got to have an account on WordPress.com and then Gravatar.com. And then complete the profile. But here, maybe it should have been step one. Make sure that you choose a unique brand or author name. So if, Lyn Askin is probably a pretty easy name. There's not a lot of Lyns who spell their name Lyn with that last name. Lane Houk is a pretty unique name. But if your name is, Charles Smith or, Jim Rodriguez, you may need to really find a way to uniquely express your authorship brand so that it's unique in Google. You do not want to go into a space of Jim Rodriguez and try to be the next, the 150th Jim Rodriguez author out there, right? You're going to be just like if you were a company. I don't want to name my company just if I've got 10 other competitors with the same or very similar brand name. So find ways to, I think I have it in here. I have it in another slide here. Find ways to make it unique, okay? Whether you add on PhD or MD or ESQ on the end, or you insert your middle initial or whatever you have to do, make it a unique brand name for that author and then make it consistent across the board. Like all of your profiles should be Lyn A. Houk on Tumblr, on WordPress.com, on Gravatar, if it's going to be that way, or it should be Lyn Houk. Sometimes I actually mix it up because your middle name can be brought in, but you want to tie it all to a consistent brand. Okay. Use the same email address as the author or the administrator. Typically, we'll create a new Gmail account or a new Workspace account, and then we're going to use that Gmail account to create the WordPress.com account, to create the Gravatar.com account, and all the other profiles that we are going to create and complete around this new author are all going to be using the same email address just for ease purposes. And then we're going to use that same email address on the WordPress site, because when you go into WordPress to set up a user, you use that email address there. It's going to then recognize the gravatar.com, the Gravatar through that email address, and it's going to connect your user account to your Gravatar account. And that's a really important step for authorship profiles. So really quick, what I mean by that, just in here, just to show you guys. If I go into my user account here, you'll see here that I'm using Lyn at lynhouk.com across the board as my authorship email, and that's also registered on gravatar.com. And so my profile picture automatically gets sucked in from gravatar.com because it recognizes my email. That's my primary email in Gravatar. So in Gravatar, here's my authorship profile here, and it's completed out as complete as I can get it. It's got links to my other websites. It's got some of my photos. It's got links out to Twitter, Facebook, my email, all that. And it's tied to the Lyn at lynhouk.com email. Okay.
I was just going to ask Lyn, I mean, you just covered it, but I had a question about that. And, how do you, if you have multiple brands, you have a Rackstar and a Garage Marketers, and I think you covered it there with Lyn at lynhouk.com. I think that answers the question.
Yeah. So what I've done is because I'm an author and a speaker, and I want to have my own authorship profile separate from my two companies, right? Now the Marketing Center of Excellence is a third brand that I'm associated with that is also, I can just, I can associate that all on lynhouk.com, right? And so I can bring my different brands together, here that I'm associated with all on my personal site, which is linked to my authorship profile.
Perfect.
Yep. My Linktree obviously brings links to all these different places together, in one space. I can drive links to my Linktree. I can make sure Google indexes this and really finds all of my authorship profiles right here from my Linktree as well. So that's also a way to kind of build this out. All right, let's get back into this. All right, so like I said, you can link these all in a nice loop together with Linktree or About Me or both. And then make sure your content on the website is assigned to the user profile that's set up with an authorship profile. So when you publish that next blog post, make sure you assign it to the user author properly, right? So that the author gets actual credit on the blog post for being the author of the post, okay? Then set up publishing profiles on as many platforms as you can. And then a couple of extra tips here, right? This is where you can go the extra distance. This is what I did last night, just to kind of demonstrate this for all of you today. I use a tool called designer.io to take a long form blog post content and really quickly and easily turn that into an ebook. Like with a few clicks, you can take a long form blog post content, a Word doc, a Google doc, even a link to the URL of the blog post on the blog, and Designer will automatically just suck that all in and then give you the ability to theme it. And then boom, you got a brand new ebook ready to publish to a PDF or even as an EPUB format. So you can publish into Amazon, places like Amazon, other places. So also great tip from Andrew yesterday, get an ISBN assigned to your ebook for even more authority. Anyone put a 2 in chat if you know what an ISBN is, just so we know what everyone. If you don't, put a 1 in chat if you don't know what an ISBN is, and put a 2 in chat if you know what one is. So 1s, 2s.
Yeah, it's pretty mixed.
All right. So Andrew, since it was your tip, do you want to just quick talk about what an ISBN is?
Sure. International, yeah, Bowker's the one to do too. International book number service or something like that. Every single book, same way that Google has entities with the M, /M/ whatever, and that's how they disambiguate. Books have ISBNs. There's all sorts of titles that are honestly identical, but the way to tell it apart is ISBN. There are libraries across the world. I think there's about 30,000 major libraries, and or we'll just call them data hubs, if you will. And once you get an ISBN, it's now populating in, all of those major databases. So it's a way to make it official, if you will. It's like every book has one. Every real book has one, and it's easy to get. It's like $300 to probably publish your ebook and then to set up the ISBN and whatnot.
So it was $300 for me to buy 10 ISBNs last night.
Yep.
Now, just a quick tip here too. You don't want to have Amazon auto assign you an ISBN because they're not going to be truly traced to you as an author. They're going to go through Amazon because Amazon's issuing them for free. Okay. Yeah. Really big tip there. Don't miss that. You want authorship profile, authorship authority, and you don't want to borrow through the ISBNs that you get for free from Amazon. So they'll be tempting because they're free. Pay the $25 for a unique ISBN or a block of them. An ISBN has to be issued uniquely. So like my Amazon ebook has its own ISBN, and then I have a separate ISBN for my Ingram Spark publications and distributions as well. So I use a different ISBN for that one, and I'll explain that in a second. But this is where you're going to really start to just jam with authority on this authorship profile. You can take a long form blog article like I did, okay, which the long form blog article was really the post that I wrote in prep for today's class. So I did a bunch of research on content, wrote this blog post, then I took the blog post, turned it into an ebook, and then took the ebook and very quickly published it into Amazon last night and got my own ISBN registered with it. And that Amazon book is now live this morning. It was already live last night. Already live. You can search for it. I've already got my own author page right here on Amazon as well. And I've got my own unique ISBN for this ebook, which is a 25-page ebook, which is this blog post content that designer.io in 5 minutes turned into basically a PDF ebook ready for me to submit into Amazon's system through their KDP. Okay. So once you get an ISBN assigned to your ebook, now you've even got more authority. And then, I had lastly in here, launch a press release for every piece of content that you publish to amplify. We obviously use Signal Genesis for that piece of it. And then try to get some of the articles or press releases that you published on major media like Forbes, Yahoo, Entrepreneur, because that will just be additional validation. And we know the algorithm is still using those, even though they're not do follow links, they're using them to validate and establish a higher level of authority for the author when you get published to those places. Okay. So even though you don't get do follow links, like Andrew said, he's thinking about links secondly, and thinking about authority of the authorship profile or the author as primary. And that's a switch for a lot of SEOs. It really is.
I want to follow up on that too. And there was a question about, earning money on these ebooks, the authority first, authorship first. If you sell a few books, fine, but that's not the purpose of putting these books out.
Exactly. I priced it at 99 cents because that's the lowest that I could publish it. And this was just for me a test last night. So this was my first ebook. I've heard about it, and for me, it's also seemed like this big elephant that I gotta eat. Taking content and publishing as an ebook and then publishing it on Amazon. It seemed like this massive elephant, and I just decided to peel that elephant away. And I ate the whole elephant in a few bites last night. It wasn't that big. So I can do more on that later, but it was really a pretty seamless process. And you just got to get enrolled in kdp.amazon.com. So you got to have a profile. You can use your existing Amazon account if you already have one. And then once you have your Amazon account on KDP, now you really see this dashboard here, and you can begin to just publish your first book, create your first book, which is what I did last night. And in under 2.5 hours, the book was submitted and approved and live in the Kindle store. Like Lyn said, if I get any sales of this, I don't care. I'm now a published author on Amazon. In 2 hours, guys, like you realize how, and that separates me from like 99% of all other authors online. So understand the power of just, and then even the bragging rights, the press release, all the other things that you can do to leverage that further. Okay. So just really quickly here, I don't have these, point by point, but I want you guys to all just have these in your thought process. These are dynamics that you need to consider if you're an agency and your clients when you're setting up authorship. All right, because this goes into more detail if you're an agency, like who's going to own and control these profiles. Okay, depending on your agency setup and how you roll and who owns what and all that, these authorship profiles are going to build authority if you invest in them. Who exactly will these people be? Are they going to be staff? Are they going to be owners? Are they going to be executives? Or does the owner say, I don't want anyone being used for that, just create an alias, a fake authorship profile, and just build that, please. All right. I mean, sometimes people won't want their name to be used. Some people are just really, really private and they just don't want anything about themselves online. Find somebody else on staff, find a different owner or executive, or at the very worst, if you have to, then build an alias, but that has to be like a real person. Like you have to build that person into a real person as much as you can to really build authority around their profile. Again, what happens if a staff or employee leaves or is fired? You've put all this time and effort into a profile and authority to publish and get their SEO results, and then all of a sudden, that person is fired or they leave. So these are dynamics to just think about and consider. There's no right or wrong answer here, but you do need to have some forethought into these dynamics before you just get going down the road. And then lastly, do we make this an SOP for all SEO campaigns, or do we add this to certain levels, or only when it's hard to get rankings? Or is this like, this is now a standard SOP on all SEO campaigns for ours? It has been for several months, but we actually went into more detail in this last week after I did this research on what we're going to do as an SOP for all SEO campaigns. But that's a question. Are you going to make an SOP for all campaigns, or are you only going to implement this on a certain level or whatever? Content strategy. This is why I've been really impressed with some of the stuff that Andrew's been doing. I'm big on research. I always say 90% of your result comes from the first 10% of the process. The first 10% of the process in marketing and SEO is your research. Like if you get the research wrong, everything else is going to be wrong, like literally. So if you want a great outcome, you better get your research right. So we're going to show you live how to use onpage.ai to do the research for the content brief and do it in a super efficient way and a super, like I'd call it expert way, because the tool just makes you so smart. And then make sure you connect the article to an author. We've kind of hammered that home today. And then in your content, look to demonstrate expertise, look to command authority, look to build trust, implement structure into your content. And then once you've got the content, ready to roll, then syndicate it, distribute it, and share it. Like get it everywhere, right? Pretty simple at the high level, but then you can kind of start to dive into how this breaks out into individual tasks if you're going to kind of start to put this into your processes for SEO and client campaigns. I've got a lot of tools and resources here. Again, links to a lot in here. If you want to get the slide deck for today's class, all I'm going to ask you to do, because I want to just ask you to help us, Lyn and I, build our following here at the Marketing Center of Excellence, is if this was at all any value for you today, just mention Lyn or I, or both of us in Facebook or in LinkedIn, either in a group or on your own timeline or wherever you want. Just mention us, a quick little feedback about today's class. And when you tag us, I will then send you the link to today's slide deck, and that will give you all of the links to all of these tools and resources and everything else that I had in all the slides previously as well. And just asking you to help Lyn and I just build our following and build this this monthly masterclass. I'll go into some of these tools here in a moment more, but as you can see, last night I took a long form blog post content using designer.io, which very quickly, and actually in this ebook, there's a tutorial here. Here's a quick tutorial, so I don't have to do it for you guys. I'm going to show you how easy it is to create an ebook. I just shared this video with all of you. But this is a quick video of me using designer.io to take that long form blog article and turn it into an ebook. Okay. So there's the video for that. You can watch that and just see how that tool worked. But once I used that, and then very quickly got my KDP account with Amazon Kindle, very quickly got my Ingram Spark account for greater distribution of my ebook beyond Amazon Kindle. And literally in less than 2 hours, I had the ebook published on Kindle. I had my ISBN barcode and unique ISBN number for the ebook, and it was all live and published on Amazon. Okay, so it's even not as hard as we probably sometimes make it out to be in our mind. I know I had built it up to be such a much bigger task. It did take some time. It did take some thought, but now that I got this set up, trust me, I'm going to be doing at least one long form blog article every single month. And it's going to be published as an ebook and then get published out to Amazon Kindle every single month because it's just that easy. Okay. You can connect with me. You can connect with Lyn on his profiles, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on email. Just look them up. Also, Andrew, if you want to connect with Andrew on Facebook or LinkedIn, especially where he's been spending a lot of time. But that's ways you can connect with all three of us. Again, I'll give you the slide deck. All you got to do is just leave a mention somewhere in Facebook or LinkedIn, tag me or Lyn, and then we'll get you the slide deck for today. What I want to do now is, for those of you who maybe got to run for a 1 o'clock appointment, you're free to go. We're going to continue now. We're going to dive in to do some live demos here on how to use onpage.ai. And if I go just really quick, one more thing in here, guys, there's a lot of links that I went through in these slides here. Okay, so when you get the slide deck, when I'm going through this material, I'm linking out to resources of where we got this information from. A lot of it's Google's own website. Some of it's Google Patents. Some of it's other authorities in the space that also do research and help us figure this stuff out. So the slide deck alone will be a great resource for you. Once you have it, you can make a copy of the slide deck and then use it with doing presentations with clients. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that agencies are going to have to start doing, is having a real talk with the prospect before they're even a client about their website, about the investment in their site, their content, authorship, and how important and why it's important to be doing that in this new age of SEO. You guys want to add anything there on that component before we go into a kind of a live demo?
No, I think this is a mind-blowing presentation. I think there's you're giving us a blueprint on what the future looks like here, and who doesn't want to be a bigger authority? I mean, authority is the key to business. It's the key to not having to cold call. It's the key to not having to send cold email. It's the key to having people coming to you pre-positioned to buy. They've seen your content, they've read your thing, they've watched your podcast, they've seen your webinar, and now they've seen your book, and over those touches just build you as an authority. And so what Lyn's laid out here for you today is I don't know, I'd say it's magic, but there's definitely something here that you guys need to put in place for the future. This is pretty amazing. So that being said, thank you, Lyn, for this. This is really amazing. If anybody else wants to add anything else, I do want to just in the chat, if you guys are ready to see Lyn and Andrew do a walkthrough of this on-page AI tool, throw one in the chat really quick and let us know you're excited. I'm excited to see this tool. This one's new to me, so
yeah. All right,
so ones here.
Andrew, do you want anything you want to add before we just dive into a live demo and just kind of wrap up the content side of this this class today?
Sure. I'll just say that there's get in the mindset of making marketing less about gaming the system, and you'll do well. If you don't try to find hacks around this, like if you want LinkedIn to be a lead gen thing for like on top of authorship, just put in the time. Spend 30 minutes to an hour a day. And a lot of it's just connecting with people. So view things from a less spammy angle. You just because you can doesn't mean you should. And if you spam it, you're really only getting a tiny bit of the benefit. People are building 6- and 7-figure businesses just off of LinkedIn, and they're just sharing the same info that you're probably already blogging about or that your clients are blogging about. So just my tip for you guys.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm going to take that one layer deeper here for you guys, especially as an agency. Think about how much more valued you will be as an expert with your prospects and clients if your approach with them changes to being what we do is we help our clients become recognized experts in their industry. And as you build authority and become a recognized expert, the leads, the business will start to come to you. They'll be attracted to you because of your expertise and your visibility. Okay. Versus, like Andrew said, let me just try and game the system and get you ranking as fast as we can. Right. I mean, if you come to me as a business and your message to me is, I'm going to help you, Lyn, become an expert in your industry. We're going to help you craft a content strategy and an SEO strategy and a visibility strategy and an authority strategy so that Google sees you as an authority, but more importantly, your target audience, your potential customers are seeing you, you're more visible. And with that visibility, you're also being positioned as an expert and an authority in your space. Now, if that's your message, think of how much more sticky that client's going to be with you versus, yeah, we do SEO and we build links and here's your link report for this month. Like if you're helping them really develop killer content that is positioning you as an expert, are they going to go anywhere? I mean, it's going to create a lot greater retention. And one more thing on Andrew's point there, some of the people that I learned from and listened to, guys like Dennis Yu, Josh Nelson, they are, to Lyn's point, they are constantly talking about being omnipresent in your space, in your niche, about being an expert in your space, about building authority in your space. So this isn't a new message. It's maybe some new understandings about how important and why this is so important going forward. So we'll leave it there. So as we get into onpage.ai, I want to show you this article here. I ran through onpage.ai and I used it to write this article and to get it published. And I got a score of 100 on this article using the tool. All right. So this tool is going to function a little bit like Surfer SEO, and that's going to give you a score. Andrew, what keywords should we research today?
I guess we could do, I just did LinkedIn marketing for mine recently. You can do whatever though, or SEO content optimization could be one, all sorts of stuff.
All right, SEO content optimization. Okay, now if I had a page that I wanted to rank that already existed, then I would put that page right here. Or if I had a competitor that I wanted to compare against the top ranking websites or pages for this keyword, I could put that here, but I'm not going to put anything here because I want to get the raw results of the tool. So I'm going to go ahead and fetch and just let it do its quick work here. It takes a few minutes. It's going to go out and do a lot of what an SEM rush would do. It's going to go out, it's going to do a keyword search for this keyword. It's going to take the top results that appear on page one, and it's going to start to analyze the on-page results of each of those pages, and then start to give us the data on this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, instead of looking at all this here, okay, because it gives us a lot of information here, okay, is I'm going to actually send this to the editor right here. And we're going to just go ahead and use this to start building a piece of content around SEO content optimization. Okay. So I sent it to the editor here, and now I can begin to write my content right here. And I can also use their AI engine to help me write the content if I want. But I've got my data from the tool and the run that it just ran on SEO content optimization. So and this is where, Andrew, you can pipe in and wherever you want as well. But it's going to give me, number one, word count. So over here on the left, it tells me I need to have, if I'm going to optimize this content for search, I want to have about 3,000 words in my content. It's gonna I want to have probably 5 or more H2 tags. I want to have probably 11 or more H3 tags and 5 or more H4 tags, because the pages that are already ranking have these metrics or KPIs dialed into their pages. Secondly, over here on the right, we have all of these recommended words. Now, recommended words, you might also call those entities, right? Andrew, you will sometimes refer to them as entities, but related keywords or categories can also be referred to as entities. But what we're getting here is all of the recommended words that we need to have in our content, because these words are also in all of the pages that are ranking number 1 for, or on the page 1 for this keyword currently. Anything you want to add there, Andrew?
Yeah, someone asked to zoom in just a little bit because some of the text is tiny, but 2, there's 2 different things that are happening here. The recommended words is on page AI's algorithm, and the category entities, which he hasn't gotten into yet, is Google NLP. And what makes this tool different from all those other ones that you've experienced is Eric, the guy who created this tool, is heavily relying straight up on data, expensive data from Google, and not relying as much on his own algorithm. So that's why this tool is a little bit more expensive than Surfer, but usually tools that are more expensive are a little bit better. So that's what this is. And it's also just important to understand that entities aren't, every word is not an entity. Certain words are entities. And you can see that in Wikipedia.
Say that again, Andrew.
And you can tell if you're curious of something, if you want to manually do it, wikidata.org or .com and then wikipedia.com is 2 great ways just to double check on whether something is an entity or not. There's another tool that I use called TextRaiser. I believe it has a free demo, textraiser.com, I believe is what it is. Yeah, textraiser.com. Yeah, that one. And then try the demo. And what you can do is you can copy and paste text into that. You can just analyze that text that they have just to show though. And then super handy to tell what is an entity. So you just click entities and it'll show the entities in each paragraph.
Oh, it even gives you the entity ID too. Wow. Gives
it all. So this is the difference. I just wanted to make sure. Entities is a really complicated topic and we're not really going to dive into that right now, just because that could be its own thing. But just understand that you can double check on whether something is an entity. And what's really nice when you can get a high confidence score with entities is, even without talking a lot on your page about whatever keyword, if Google's got a high confidence in that entity, they already have so much information in their database on that thing. So you're good. That's why entity optimization is so solid. Is Google's holding all of that information and looking at your article and saying, oh, we have, this is great. We already have a lot of understanding on this. All right.
So you can see here, as Andrew was talking, I started typing here too. And as I started typing and I started including words that I need to be including in my content, the tool starts to give me green where I've used those keywords. And then I can hit AI write over here and let the AI writer see what happens here.
Pretty good.
I have a question for you, Lyn, if you don't mind. Like a lot of if you learn to write in school, you write out your Roman numerals and you have your basically H1, H2, H3s. Does this tool provide in the research tab or in the brief tab
Yep.
kind of a layout of what that should look like?
Yeah. So you can go into brief and you can build your brief in here. You can go into research and but I go into swipe here so you can see your general facts, questions, and stats. So under swipe, I can say here, like, what is SEO content optimization? And then I can make that an H tag. And then you'll see here, now I've got H2, one of 5 over here, right?
This is exactly what I was looking for. Thank you.
Yep. And then I can come over here and just, what I do is I come over here and I build out the brief really quickly here by just, kind of getting my writing SEO friendly content, and then maybe structuring content for SEO, and then internal linking strategies, and then external, and then content promotion. Like here's my brief, right? I'm just already like laying it out here just based on the information that the tool is giving me. If I want questions, I'm getting FAQs in here. The nice thing about onpage.ai is it gives you people also ask questions, but it also gives you questions that people haven't asked yet, but should be asking, right? And so it's one thing to include people also ask questions in your content. I've been teaching that for years as part of your content structure, is use PAA as your section headings, right? So if I want to come in here and this is right here, right? What is SEO content optimization? That's a people also ask question. And I make that an H2. Now I'm going to go in here underneath it and I'm going to answer the question right here. What is SEO content optimization in my content? I'm going to answer the question. Next question, right? There we go. And then obviously once you implement this with FAQ schema and you're golden, right? So, but you can see here as I continue to write out and all that, if I come back over here to optimize, I'm getting more and more of the keywords that I'm including, or highly related words. So you can just see here, competitive analysis, right? If I put that in here, it's just going to light that up. I can type it.
Picked a hard one.
Right. And now competitive analysis is green here. Right. So anything else there you want to talk about on that section, Andrew?
Could you hit the research tab and then click submit? So this one's, it's important to get this one. I also find that if you do the research tab, then AI paraphrase is super helpful. So this one's going to get you the top, really the entire articles for the top competitors, at least the top 3. And you can see their headers, you can see everything. You can see the first, 120 characters or so, or first paragraph under the header. And then you can just immediately click it and it pulls it in here. And then you can paraphrase that. And I trust AI paraphrase more than AI writing. But on top of that, it also pulls in the answers themselves for the PAAs. So when you go to questions, for instance, instead of just getting the question, you can click click the down button on what is content optimization. Now you have the actual full answer. You can click that, adds it into the article, and then you can just click paraphrase. So click AI paraphrase after this is normal. And but you got to highlight it though. Yeah.
I haven't even used this yet, as you can tell.
Oh yeah. I am a power user. I use this heavily. So this is not something don't try to write a full article with the AI stuff, but it is helpful. So keep in mind, this is all here. It pulls in stats as well. If you go back to search.
So you see, I put that in here. I'm going to make that heading 2. And now I got it.
Yeah.
Now here's my answer below, right?
Mm-hmm.
So go in here. Let's add that in. Cursor, add that in. Highlight it. AI paraphrase.
Also, do you notice that LinkedIn.com is ranking for that? That's not LinkedIn itself. That's someone posting on LinkedIn, it getting indexed, and it's showing up here. Just another callback to the reason why I like LinkedIn.
So you can see how I just rewrote that, right? Just come in here and massage a little bit. So, all right, that's awesome. That's a great tip. I had done research before, but
oh yeah,
I hadn't used the drop down here with the answers.
So go to the search one too, just because we skipped over it real quick. So this is what I recommend for if you're trying to start with your initial wave of headers. I always look at the competitors first. I'll add all of those, rephrase it, and then I'll go into the questions to add some additional opportunities. Like try to find about 4 to 8 more additional header opportunities in the FAQ section.
Okay, and we got that one there, and then we come down here, and you could add in why is it important. Add that.
And guys in the chat, are you guys following along? Is this making sense? Is this a cool tool? What do you think?
Awesome.
What's the feedback?
Carol says yes, following along, great stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This tool is hot.
Yeah, this tool is amazing. To me, it's been. I'm actually excited about writing content again because I can sort of write it, but I can also really structure it, and I can also beg, borrow, steal, and modify with the tool, and it's given me a lot of Google NLP data, which is really insightful and helpful.
I think sorry to interrupt. One of the cool things about a tools like this is I'll tell a quick story. We hired a content writer a couple years ago, and she was going to Tulane Law School, and her husband was a doctor, moved around a lot, and she had a hard time finding a stable job, so she wrote content for us. Amazing writer. So the very first piece of content I had her write, I said, write me a piece of content on lawn fertilization. And she wrote a great article. And sometimes when you look at something and you read it and like, hey, that's a great article. We threw it in NTopic or a tool like this, but we used NTopic. We threw it in there and we ran it through their processor and found out in that article, she never used the word green or grass. Mm-hmm. And so, we have an article about lawn fertilization that doesn't have the words in it that Google's expecting. Even though it's a great article, we missed the word green and we missed the word grass completely. So having tools like this, give you some context on what you might be missing. Even if you look at a piece of article and you think it's great, there are pieces of it that you might be missing.
I literally, to get to 100, you gotta, that's the thing. I love the score, for the OCD people in the room, you'll just, that score, keeps going up, up. You're like, oh, I got so, but what I did is I literally spent about a half an hour going through the article after it was kind of written in first version. And now I went back and I just started to add as many of these other words as I could, just here, there, everywhere I could find it in a sentence, or I maybe made up a new sentence. And just to get to 100 score and get all this as much as I could. You can see I still have places that I could add more words in, and I'm already at 100. But yeah, that's the great thing about this is the scoring model really helps you kind of get to that point where all right, this content is going to compete with other pages that are already ranking on page 1 because of everything I've got worked into this. Don't lose sight of the structure too. The structure is important. The H tagging, the section headings, that's all really important, that you break up your content with section headings, H2, H3, H4, and that really comes out of the brief. I think I've watched Andrew do some of his briefs. Andrew, you want to talk about the brief really quick and just how that helps to guide a great piece of content?
Sure, yeah. I have let's see if I can just pull it up so the picture would be helpful.
Say again?
So I'm going to pull up the post so you can share it.
Okay. Well, he's pulling that up too. Just the other thing is here, the onpage.ai tool, when you don't do the research, also has a stats tab besides the questions and the search. So you can actually, it'll give you some stats you can add in. And I mean, there's just a ton of great content you can just immediately implement into your content. And then Andrew just showed us, highlight it and then run AI paraphrase on it to just kind of remodify or reword it a little bit to make it unique.
And then something to note, if you haven't noticed this before, Lane, is you see that under quick score, it says normal mode. If you click that, it adjusts from averages, top left under the quick score. It'll adjust from, keep going. Now it's going to go into max mode. And max mode is only analyzing the very first rankings. Now you're getting, if the first person, you believe that they're killing it and they're the ones to look at, and averages are just that, they're averages. That doesn't mean that it's the best.
Right.
So I like the fact that you can toggle.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually didn't even know that before either. The other thing
Andrew,
that's really cool.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Andrew, do you know if that max mode and normal mode, is it like some of the tools grab the top 100, some of them grab the top 10. Do you know what this is grabbing? This is max mode is position 1, right?
It should be normal mode is top 10, max
Perfect.
mode number 1.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
because
don't want to grab the averages of everybody. Like Serper grabs, it gives you the option, but like I don't even need the option. If you're way back in the SERP, I don't care.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to look at those. I don't care how well those are doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So the link is in the chat, by the way, Lane. If you wanted to look at it and then share, that goes through. I heavily rely on this tool in order to create this. And I obviously added a design element to it, but yeah, you can click it and just blow it up, and then I'll show you exactly what's being added in here. But zoom in or do the, yeah, that thing. Cool. So for my content briefs, what I'm generally trying to do, I use on-page AI for a lot of it. I use inlinks, and then I also just use my brain. But you have your focus keyword. I like to put in the monthly traffic potential, not just the traffic for the keyword, but how much that whole page with all the keywords could possibly rank. And then I put in like primary keyword targets, and that's what does a content brief look like, content brief examples, how to write a content brief. Then you can use keyword cluster tools. So this tool doesn't do a keyword cluster, but there's plenty of tools that do. I talk about those. I'm not going to advertise any specific one, just know they exist. And what that does is out of all the keywords that exist, you'll be able to, the basic algorithm behind keyword clusters is if the same keyword, if there's 2 different keywords, it looks at the results. And then it says if there's 3 or 4 results that are the same URLs, that says, okay, that extra keyword doesn't need its own article. It could just exist in another article. And the traditional way that people are kind of clustering it is whichever keyword has the most volume, that acts as the primary. And then that other keyword that shares 3 to 4 results on the ranking pages will filter into that. So that's what the keyword cluster is. So I put that in here as well. A lot of times with keyword cluster, those highly related words that are in on-page AI, it basically accomplishes about 75% of the same thing, captures the same stuff. So topic category, that's the next thing. That's the NLP categorization of this topic. So I look at the SERP. Once you run that report on-page, go hit back and go to the actual report. Yeah, this. So scroll down. Yeah, this. Those things are there. Page classification. So scroll down a little bit more again. It's the SERP. Yeah, that. So what I want to see is what's the actual category here? Are there multiple? Am I in the proper category? One of the interesting things about my one of the niches that I'm in is I thought I was in finance. It's heavily about finance, maybe law. Who knew? I'm in real estate and I didn't even know it. So I started adjusting my backlink strategy. I started adjusting how I talked about stuff. And knowing the proper categories, and this tool even tell you the words associated with that category, and that's actually directly below it, specific category words. Super helpful.
Yeah, really quick on that point. A lot of ranking problems exist right here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you find in your campaigns that you're just hitting a wall and like nothing is making sense, like why isn't this site, why isn't this listing ranking? The first place I look is how is that business even being classified by Google and the algorithm based on the content that's on its website. And, the bot is making a determination on what category you are being stuck into based on how it crawls your site. So if you're being miscategorized, that's going to do a lot of that's going to inhibit your ranking results, right?
It does heavily.
Go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
You can go back to the other brief if you want. Wherever that went, LinkedIn something. Yeah, sweet. And then H1 and title, you're getting that from on page pretty easily. Topic coverage and outline. So that is literally just, there's a section on page AI that covers that. So go to the next page real quickly. And then We have secondary topics. On-page AI does that. Word recommendations. On-page AI does that. Words associated with the main category. We just talked about it. On-page AI does that. Page details. This is that stuff that Lyn has already gone over. You get the word count. You get relevance scores, entity density, all sorts of stuff. Different categories that are on there. Keyword variations. All of this stuff you can get basically just from on-page AI. The last bit I do manual. So talk about the tone, provide examples for the writer, provide a CTA, provide what kind of English. I hire writers from all over the place. So for instance, little tip, South Africa is very cheap writing sourcing, but they have they are natively English, but it's another country. So they speak differently. So you have to specify this has to be, American English. So if there are words that they want to use that are perfectly fine, but not for America, then that's what I would do. So you can get them for $800 a month, have them pump out an article a day. So very cheap. So content brief template, this is from InLinks, that little flower looking thing. And that's basically taking the topic coverage that exists and it's providing a visualization of it. And what's really cool about InLinks is you can do that on an entire website scale. You can do it on a keyword cluster scale. You can do it all over the place. It's really, really nice. And I like having a visual element for the writer so they can look into it and say like, okay, this totally makes sense. Or maybe just for my, my on-page optimizing guy. How do you find out about category? The tool tells you about category, by the way. So you'll find your category if you just put it in. And this chart below, all I did is maybe spent $3,000 on backlinks, fresh domain. I don't want to say the niche actually, but the niche is, it's just normal business. It would fall under the same category, business, industrial, something like that. But 6 months later, 20,000 monthly visits. And it's using just this template. Pump out the content, use the template.
What's been the content velocity, Andrew?
For that one, only about 30 articles exist. But if I have a budget, like for instance, I'm launching a site in 2 weeks in the liquor space. Liquor.com is my competitor, and I'm dropping 6 figures a year on that one. So I'll be publishing at least 500 articles within 3 months. And then we'll see what happens. But the goal is, if you want to pick a fight with someone large, then how many pages do they have? And what's the keyword cluster you're targeting? If they have 200 in that cluster, then when I immediately hit the ground running, I'm going to go with 200 articles. I'll slowly fill that link gap, but the goal is a lot of content is what's needed.
Remember, we've talked about that, guys. A 30 to 50 page website is not that authoritative in Google's eyes, right? So, especially in some of these niches. So,
it's true.
Andrew, real quick, I'm sure this is someone's going to ask this question. Are you using AI at all in your content generation, or is it all human generated content from a writer?
It's mainly from a writer. The briefs are using AI. Mm-hmm. So a trick to this is a lot of times you can get writers to write 10 versions, 5 versions of every single sentence, or have a writer just create a bunch of variations, and then you can literally I like to do it that way. If I'm going to have like alternate versions or whatever, I'll take my whatever's ranking top, and I'll just write 10 versions of each sentence that they wrote. And then I'll kind of piece it together and we can reorganize it. There's a whole content system. I'm not going to go into that, but I don't really use AI for that much. I want content that converts. I want content that makes people see me and see my clients as an authority. So I want to write stuff that you can't just find anywhere. And ultimately AI, just so you guys know, all AI is it's just rehashing stuff that exists on the SERP. And that's not the kind of stuff you should be aiming for. You should be aiming for more than that.
Yeah.
But you can get by. But a brand isn't built off of that kind of strategy.
Yeah, really good. All right. Do we have anything else that we want to share about on-page AI? How we use this? The new thing that they just came out is the competitor analysis. This just came out this last week. So it's taking the SERPs or the SERP on this. And then it's, you can obviously, if you had your own URL in this comparison up here, then you'd see your own URL over here on the far right. And this is just going to give you basically a quick visual of who's doing what with the different entities in the, these are the entities, I believe, right? These aren't using just related words. These are entities here, right?
I'm not sure because this is brand new. I assume it's entities.
Yeah,
But
I'm assuming it's entities too. I think related words would be too broad and too much. But anyway, it's going to give you a quick visual, and obviously it's going to give you a quick visual into opportunities that you have to make your content even better than those that are already ranking. So this is also using the data, the Google NLP API. So brand new. Use it. I haven't even used it yet, really. So I mean, it's
so 10. It orders it by importance too. So 10. I try to go for 10, 9, and 8 are the ones that I'm looking at. Anything 70 and below, I'm not as much of a stickler on. But keep scrolling down too, because there's one other element of this tool that's super helpful. Yeah, this section, the swipe content. You can just copy all of that if you want. So suggested title gives that to you. That's a unique title, by the way. The topic coverage, boom, that's all of your headers if you want. And then you could keep scrolling down if you want. And then there's facts all right there, statistics all right there. Then the topical authority questions, that's generally what you, and you can also get the answers too here. Separates it out by who, what, when, where. Super, super helpful. I cannot stress enough how this has increased our writing velocity.
Yeah, no, this is I've used this too. It's just amazing, right? Because it's like that's why I said it's actually made me excited about building content again, because it just gives you so much information that I don't have to use brain power to go out and time to just go out and gather all this. Like, it's just here, and it's easy to copy and get it into your article, and boom, it's just amazing.
What is the cost of this tool?
$179 a month on their Black Friday special. For the I'm on their let's see here.
Oh, there's some packages right down below that. Yeah.
Well, looks like it's
That's right
here.
Just right there.
There you go. Thanks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, $3.99 normally.
Yeah, so I'm in this package here as well. I have been for a while, but I got in at this price, and now their normal price has gone up already since these released this. So
we've totally left off. They're not just a content tool, guys. It's a link building tool, a guest posting tool.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's
AI detection tool. I use that link relevancy to create backlink gap analysis reports that I send to my my client or to whoever. But you just enter in your precise page. You enter in the backlinks that you have for that page, and then it'll tell you using Google's NLP the categorization of the domain and the categorization of the pages, and it'll give it a score and tell you how relevant it is. And it's incredible, absolutely incredible.
The predictive link building and the predictive guest posts are also pretty awesome.
Yep.
This will give you ideas of where you could potentially get your article posted as a guest post blog, and give you ideas or potential, opportunities for building links.
Yeah.
AI detection, that's kind of a new tool that's also just been released. So it'll actually look at content on a page and see, is it detecting AI? Why is this important? Well, with the helpful content update that just rolled out, Google is trying to assess, is this people first content, or is this being written for SEO purposes? If anyone's using AI, it's typically AI content. That's not, I mean, Google's gonna, again, they're not revealing exactly how they're treating it, right? But if they can detect AI, you've already got at least one flag, on your content. So you can check and see, is there, how is and this is going to be using Google's, I believe it's using the NLP database again, to identify, or is, or I'm not sure what part of Google they're using to do this. He had explained this on a webinar I was on a couple of weeks ago. But anyway, it's going to help you really identify whether or not Google is going to flag that content as AI content. So another cool tool there.
Not only that, but I use it to make sure my writers aren't trying to sneak one past
Yeah,
me.
it's good. All right, so we hit right here at an hour and a half, so we'll go ahead and just call it. Really, really awesome session. Andrew and Lyn, thank you so much for helping to co-host and to just give your insights and expertise to today's class. Really appreciate both of you. Thank you to all you guests who came and spent the full hour and a half with us. Hope you got some value, maybe a lot of value. If you do want the slide deck, just remember to tag me in a post somewhere in social, and I will I'll follow up and DM you the slide deck, and you can use all of the links and resources within the slide deck for your own purposes going forward. Again, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you guys. Look forward to next month's class. Again, last Tuesday of every month at 12 p.m. Eastern, we'll hold our monthly Marketing Center of Excellence Masterclass. And we'll announce in the coming week here what the next topic will be as we gear up for the December session. Andrew, Lyn, thanks again. Guys, want to say anything as we part ways?
Thanks for the opportunity. I loved being here.
Yeah,
Hopefully, if you guys have questions, message me on LinkedIn.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Lyn. This is an amazing class. Thanks for leading it, and we really appreciate it. And I think the group got a lot of value on it. There's a lot of great comments. Looking forward to putting together the next one with you.
Awesome. Great, guys. Thanks a bunch. Everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Thank you.